Good morning. Welcome back to the Boxing Club podcast. It's your boy, Lou Almighty. Man, if you guys were not in tune on Saturday evening, you did, in fact, miss our entryway to a new era. The welterweight division has been captured by one man, unified, undisputed, holds all the belts in this four-belt era. After the retirement of Floyd Mayweather, a lot of people were kind of not skeptical, but they were curious as to who out of the bunch, out of the newcomers, were going to take that mantle, since Floyd dominated the welterweight era for a long time with Manny Pacquiao. And they fought and he showed his dominance. So after he retired, everyone was kind of curious as to who was going to take up the mantle. There was a lot of guys like Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter. For a long time, people thought Adrian Bronner was going to be the man. You had Mikey moved up to 47. There was a lot of guys gunning for that. And in the back of that crowd, there was that youngster Errol Spence Jr. that was rumored. I mean, he was an Olympian. He was rumored to have given Floyd that black eye and knock out Broner in sparring when he was young, but he had a lot to prove. He was too young to be put in that running. And also in the back with him was Terence Crawford, the guy that fought Gamboa when 50 Cent was promoting him, and there was just a lot of guys in the mix. And over time, guys just started showing who was who. Everybody started fighting everybody, and up to recent, it was down to two guys. Two guys were holding that mantle. It was Errol Spence Jr., undefeated, big fish, man down, and then there was Terence Crawford, which was known to be one of, if not the most well-rounded fighter, probably the best switch hitter in all of boxing. High ring IQ, very talented, but they were on different promotions. His own promoter didn't like him, or I'm just talking smack, but his own promoter didn't really back him the way a promoter should, but which promoter does, and they actually made the fight happen. I give a lot of credit to Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, because they took that leap, regardless of the speculations and the accusations with the contracts. It doesn't matter. They fought, and they were both young enough to not be able to say we missed their primes. Tank is in his prime as we speak. Ryan still had a little bit to go to show his prime, but he took the leap, and that's the point. And I give them to the credit for making this fight, because I truly believe all the people working this last fight with Bud and Spence, they saw that Ryan Garcia and Tank did it, so they were like, man, we got to deliver, and they made it happen. Big ups to the fighters, the promoters, and the management of Bud and Spence that made that fight happen. And that fight this last Saturday showed us that we just entered a new era, and that crown goes to, easily, unquestionably, goes to Terence Crawford. He put on a masterclass performance. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, that fight was 50-50, and I don't think I'm wrong for saying that. Most of the boxing world was on a 50-50 split. Everyone was either Crawford's going to stop Terence Crawford's going to stop Errol Spence, or everyone was like Errol Spence is going to easily stop Terence Crawford. And then you would nitpick their attributes. And their attributes were simple, because it's what we've seen. We've seen them grow into what they are now. And Spence was thought to be bigger, stronger, younger, a little more fresh. Even though he went through the car accident, it didn't look like it fazed him. Southpaw, real strong. heavy in the stablemates or the Charlo twins, or at least one of them now. Just a dog. He had that dog in him. No, there was no stopping him. And so you would take that and say that he's unbeatable. We've never seen him in trouble, really. And when he did get in trouble, like with Ugas, he would just bounce right back and then stop the guy. So you're like, man, it's easy to say Spence would stop Crawford. But then on the flip side, you have Crawford, which was again a well-rounded southpaw switch hitter, meaning he can switch from left to right easily, fluidly. His melody in that ring is probably the closest thing to Floyd Mayweather in terms of his movement and skill. High IQ, he could box, he could punch. We just weren't sure how much power he had. He looked like the smaller guy. And then anyway, come fight night, it looks like, in some angles, it looked like Terence Crawford was the bigger guy. But nonetheless, that fight showed that levels in boxing are key. Because Spence, and I don't want to hear Spence didn't show up. Spence showed up. Spence was 100%. He showed up to do what he was going to do, and he showed up to win. But it wasn't enough. And I've got a lot of text messages and a lot of phone calls saying that Spence looked like he didn't know what to do, and he looked like he wasn't his normal self. Yeah, you're right. And that's what happens with the Mayweather effect. That is a Mayweather effect. A high IQ boxer takes control of that fight and takes your best attributes and takes them from you, snatches those attributes from you, doesn't let you do what you do best. And that's what Terence Crawford did. They felt each other out in the first round. Second round, Spence got a little fresh. He got a little, overconfident, and tried to impose that power and that aggressive, that smart, aggressive power, and try to bully him. And you can easily see how Terence Crawford took that, adjusted, maintained his calmness. He's a thinker in there, and you can see how he imposed that and applied everything he needs to apply to take that away from Spence. And he did with that left hook, caught him, and then on the way out said, pop, take that jab, take that power jab with you, and dropped him for the first time. And this is in the second round. From then on, it was a dissection of his skill. He applied that Mayweather effect, and Spence never really recovered. He played catch up the entire time, and his face paid for it. So again, we've entered a new era. This is now the Bud Crawford era, the fisherman. I personally want to change his name to Bud Picasso Crawford, because he painted a masterpiece. And he had the perfect opponent. It was the perfect night for him. The stars were aligned for him. And he did what I wish Ryan Garcia would have done, is that on the fight of your life, the one fight of your career, you stand up and you show what you're made of, and you show people, the doubters, what they're missing, that piece of the puzzle that's missing. And that's what Terence Crawford did. All hats off to him. Everybody is now coming out with the I told you so's, and then the people that were in doubt are now believers. You can't, this is a type of fight you can't doubt. There was no unanimous decision. There was no controversy. This was a 100% masterclass performance. So much so, Charlemagne the God gave himself Donkey of the Day, because he had that interview face to face and told him Errol Spence is gonna beat you that night if you guys fight. He's better than you. He basically told him to his face, and Terence Crawford said, "Well, you're wrong. You're gonna lose," and that's what happened. And Charlemagne the God gave himself Donkey of the Day. So that goes to show where we're at now in boxing, the Bud Crawford era. And I personally don't believe anyone at 47 and possibly 54. I don't think anyone beats him. Not the way he fought on Saturday night. So that's my 2 cents. That's my recap on the fight. If you haven't seen it, and if you're a casual boxing fan, please go watch that fight. That is you will enjoy that fight. It's such a great performance that it allows you to appreciate what this sport can deliver. It's a perfect fight. 2 guys in their prime, 2 guys undefeated, 2 guys at an elite level, and it really shows who's on what level in terms of skill. And Bud Crawford's on his own. It was like the Mayweather era. He was on his own level. No one was really close. And Bud, I feel, is that guy too in this era. He's in his own lane. He's going to dictate his own pace, dictate his own career, and he deserves every bit of it. So, Lou Almighty, giving my 2 cents. If you disagree or if I missed anything, put it down in the comments. Let me know. Comment below. Let me know. Boxing Club Podcast. We out.